Good morning. It's time for our daily devotion, and today we are in James chapter 4. Now, we know from reading the book of James that James is a believer in prayer. In James chapter 1, he says, "Does any man lack wisdom? Let him ask, let him pray. God will give it." In chapter 5, he's going to say, "The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, anoint him with oil, and pray. And he will recover, he will be healed." So we know that James is a believer in answered prayer, but he also gives us some insight in chapter 4 as to why sometimes we don't have what we desire regarding prayer. First of all, he says we don't have because we don't ask. Now, not asking is generally a presumption that prayer won't do any good if we did pray. And so what's the use? We just won't pray. I see examples of this all the time. People assume the worst. They get sick and they assume the worst rather than coming to God and asking for healing. We were having a big event this last weekend on Saturday, and the forecasters kept forecasting rain and cold temperatures and all kinds of problems with the weather. And some people just gave up. And then we had a couple of gusts of wind, and literally, I held up my hand, and because I know that Jesus calmed the storm before, I said, "Peace, be still. Lord, I know that you can calm I can't, but I know you can calm the wind." Now, we had a breezy afternoon, but a couple of gusts of wind is all we had for the duration of the day. We had papers blow around one time, but we certainly didn't have any kind of weather, any kind of wind that would end the event. Why don't we pray? Why don't we have what we desire, what we want? Because we don't ask. We don't believe God can do anything about it or will do anything about it. And so we don't ask. Folks, listen, always pray for what you desire. And at least ask. You can't have it if you don't ask. The other reason James says that prayers go unanswered when we do ask is because we ask. And the old King James said we ask amiss. What he actually says here is you don't have because you ask with wrong motives, so that you will spend it on your own pleasures. In other words, a lot of times we pray selfishly, and God doesn't answer prayers like that sometimes because he knows that it's not the best for us, even though it's what we want, it's what we desire, it's what will please us. It's not what will please him and bring him glory. One of the things, again, in reference to our block party Saturday, I didn't pray that it would stop being windy, that it would not rain, that it wouldn't be sunshine. I didn't pray any of those things for my own glory, but because we were trying to reach people in our community for the cause of Christ and be able to share the gospel with them and minister to them and love on them. And it was all about giving God the glory. It was all about giving him the praise, accomplishing his purposes and his plan, his goal. So we don't have sometimes because we don't even ask, because we don't believe God can do anything about it or will do anything about it anyway. And then when we do ask, many times we're asking amiss. We're asking for things that will bring us pleasure and glory and not God. So as you pray, and when you pray, I urge you, first of all, to pray about everything. Paul says, pray without ceasing. Take everything to him in prayer. Don't be anxious for anything, he says, but by prayer and supplication, bring everything to him in prayer. So pray about everything. You may not get everything you want. You may not get everything you pray for, but at least ask. You can't have it until you ask for it. And then try to always line up your prayers with the will and the purpose of God. That'll go a long, long way towards seeing that those prayers are answered. Today, make it a great day by praying without ceasing.